gasps. At Jets camp today, quarterback Justin Fields had to be carted off the practice field with an injury. It turns out he was stepped on and hurt his toe. Here's what his head coach Aaron Glenn had to say after practice about the injury.
I don't know the severity of the injury, but I do know it's a toe on his right side. I know it's a quick throw. I'm assuming someone stepped on his toe. It had to be because of the nature of the call that we had as far as offensive play call. We're going to keep moving. No matter what the situation is, no matter what happens with any player that gets hurt, man, we got to keep moving. This league is not going to stop just because of injuries.
Certainly the Jets know that better than anyone. On the scene for us at Florham Park is our Jets reporter, Rich Cimini. And Rich, it looked to be unlucky for the Jets at first, but they did confirm Fields suffered a dislocated toe in his day-to-day. What more can you tell us about his injury?
Elle, this was an emotional roller coaster for the Jets and their fans today. It was pretty concerning around 9:30 when he limped off with the help of a trainer, and then of course carted off to the locker room. But by noon, the Jets were starting to get some positive reports, and they knew he would not miss significant time. Social media was ablaze with panic when this first happened. Mind you, this is a Jet fan base that is still dealing with the scar tissue from the Aaron Rodgers Achilles injury 2 years ago. So they're thinking, oh no, not again. But like I said, by noon, getting positive reports. He's day-to-day. It's not a major injury. Conceivably, he could be back on the practice field next week. He will miss some key reps. You know, he needs as many reps as he can get in this new offense. But all things considered, considering the Jets' history and everything, they're breathing a sigh of relief today for sure.
Amen to that. And he has some time. Jets kick off their season against the Steelers on week 1. Of course, that's Justin Fields' former team. Rich Cimini on the scene for us in New Jersey. And you heard Rich mention how they're saying not again. And that's because the Jets have had some really bad luck with the quarterbacks. Yes, there was Aaron Rodgers' Achilles tear on the 4th snap of his career with the Jets in week 1 of 2023. But take a look at the rest of them. I mean, Zach Wilson had preseason knee surgery in 2022. Sam Darnold got mono in 2019. Remember Geno Smith breaking his jaw after an altercation with his own teammate? Honestly, the best thing to happen to the Jets is this guy, Damian Woody, our 2-time Super Bowl champ. It feels like this franchise is snake bit. As a former Jet player, how do you sort of explain the misfortunes that just seem to always hover around this team?
Yeah, listen, I mean, you talk about whether you talk about Aaron Rodgers and the Achilles, and Justin Fields had the injury today that kind of sent Jet Nation into, into a tizzy. Yeah, but listen, at the end of the day, I think what you got to lean on is Aaron Glenn, new head coach, reestablishing a culture with this organization. It's been one that, hasn't had a lot of great days, but I think Aaron Glenn and Gary Muji, the general manager, they're establishing something with the Jets organization. They got a bunch of really good players. You just got to have the guys buy in, and that starts right now in training camp.
Yeah, the Jets have not reached the playoffs since 2010. That's tied with the Buffalo Sabres in the NHL for the longest active playoff drought across all of the 4 major sports. Stay right here because I got more for you. But we just mentioned Aaron Rodgers, former Jet quarterback, now Steeler, took the field for his first practice in Pittsburgh today. 41, 4-time MVP, tasked with jump-starting one of the league's most stagnant passing attacks. Pittsburgh made the playoffs last year despite ranking 27th through the air. Here's Rodgers today on his relationship with DK Metcalf. That's new on SportsCenter.
DK and I have worked out in the off-season together. Got a good relationship. We talked about a lot of football stuff. We FaceTime, we texted during the off season after minicamp. So we've got a good relationship. It's going to just keep on growing. It's been a lot of fun. It really has. And I'm enjoying the process, and things are going to get better and look better as we go. But I'm excited about where we're at day 1.
Okay, let's bring in our Steelers reporter, Brooke Pryor, who has much more. And Brooke, Rodgers talked about it. Building that relationship with his wide receiver 1 is going to be pretty imperative to success there. But what's the latest right now out of Steelers camp today?
I just watched Aaron Rodgers walk by right on the other side of the camera on his way from the cafeteria, presumably back to his dorm, where, by the way, he is suite mates with DK Metcalf. So that's something that's certainly going to help his relationship. He said that at first he thought he might be rooming with a lineman and wasn't too sure about that. But then he said he checked in the other room and saw that there was only one suitcase and said, I think this is going to be DK Metcalf in here, and he said that that's something that's going to help build their rapport together, that they can spend time just, catching up after practice, learning to pick each other's brains, and they're definitely going to need that because Rodgers' start to training camp practice today was a little rocky. His first pass attempt of his first team period as a Pittsburgh Steeler was picked off by Patrick Queen, but I asked him if that is a bad omen for the rest of his Steelers tenure, and he laughed and he said, no, it's good to get that out of the way. So this is when he's going to be testing to see what he can get away with, and he said, yeah, I'm going to throw some picks, but I'm also going to throw some touchdowns too. So stay tuned for those touchdowns. We didn't see any today, but he'll be back out here tomorrow and the day after that and the day after that and the day after that.
Yeah, him saying I'm going to throw some picks is like a jump scare for Steelers fans because over the last 3 seasons, Steelers quarterbacks have thrown 46 touchdowns, which is the fewest in the NFL, and plenty of picks to go along with it. Brooke Pryor joining us there from Steelers camp. Bring back Damien. I wish you would, E. And we did. I certainly don't have to tell you. You can have all the flashy quarterbacks or new toys that you want, but it all starts in the trenches. How important is this training camp for an offensive line with the Steelers that was certainly below snuff last year?
I mean, it's going to be huge, and the Pittsburgh Steelers have invested significant draft capital in this offensive line. And so when you talk about a quarterback in Aaron Rodgers who will be 42 years old, they have all the weapons. But in order for this Arthur Smith offense to really work, they need to be able to establish a line of scrimmage. They need to be able to run the ball because when they're able to run the ball, then everything else will play off of that. So this offensive line needs to play together. They've had injuries up front. If they can play together and really establish that, it'll go a long way towards really helping this Pittsburgh Steelers offense fly.
It all starts with protecting the quarterback, and the Steelers O-line ranked 28th in the NFL in sacks.
What is your interest level in Bill Belichick and the North Carolina Tar Heels this season?
Very high, Tony. I think for the first few weeks, and it may wane. If the Tar Heels go 2-3, 1-2 even, I'm going to have less interest. This starts off, though, maybe replacing what some of us had found in Colorado with Deion.
100%.
That was
100%.
such a exciting thing to have at the beginning of college football season. And then they won enough games and they played enough that you're like, oh my God, I got to see Deion. It's must-see TV. With Belichick, and that's it. My interest in him is about football. I don't care about his personal life. I don't care about what other people seem to care about, the relationship. I don't give a damn about that, and I want it put aside because it's irrelevant. I care about Bill Belichick, the football coach, and what he's doing in North Carolina. Bill Belichick has made trips to high schools, including the one my son goes to recruit his friends. And it's like, oh my God, Bill Belichick is in the lobby waiting to see Tommy. And come on now, this guy's a god among coaches of any sport in the latter part of the 20th and into the 21st century. So I got great interest in it.
Yeah, Bill Belichick is likely the greatest NFL coach of all time. And if he's not, if you've got somebody else, Bill Belichick is on the short list. And then, I don't care about the Bell at the moment. And then he couldn't get a job in the NFL. He was sitting out there. He was applying for jobs. He went to interviews. He couldn't get a job in the NFL. So he went to college and he went to North Carolina. And now we're going to be able to see if he is truly a miracle worker, because North Carolina's football program, it's okay. But in the ACC, it's not Clemson. It's not Florida State. I'm not sure it's SMU. So what is the number? And you think about the same thing that I do. What is the number where you say, wow, he's a genius here too? Is it 8 wins? Is it 9 wins? Is it 10 wins? Is that possible? And I believe he's the biggest story, as you do. I believe, at least at the beginning of the year, he's the biggest story in college football. And I felt the same way about Deion 2 years ago. These are guys from another milieu, right? They're pro guys. They're coming into college. It's entirely different. How good are they, and how good are they right away? And that's what I want to see. And I think you and I are aligned on this one.
Yeah, be excited to see. Must-see TV, at least at the beginning. That's it.
To take the next step. After a huge 2023, he got paid. Last season wasn't quite as good, and the Pack got clocked by the Eagles in the wild card. Time for one of the youngest teams to put on their big boy britches. Here is Love outlooking the season.
starts with just taking it one day at a time. When the regular season gets here, take it 1 week at a time. Obviously, starting in the NFC North, handling the division. And once playoff games get here, putting everything into it, having that focus. That when these games get here, there's no second chances, there's no do-overs. I think it just starts with that consistency. But we're definitely trying to take that next step. That's the focus and the goal that we talk about every day.
The Bears quarterback Caleb Williams might have the most pressure on him of anyone in the division. The 2023 #1 overall pick showed glimpses of brilliance last year when he wasn't running for his life. He got sacked a league-high 68 times, but new coach Ben Johnson is a man with a plan.
Had a great practice yesterday, good start. Guys were excited, effort was there, intensity was there. It was fun to watch them fly around. I know some people enjoyed me throwing the first team out of practice. Not the case. But the point is, though, we got to be on our P's and our Q's, and every minute, every rep is really valuable as well.
Staying in the division, the Vikings you could call a dark horse in the North, just in part because nobody knows what J.J. McCarthy's going to look like. You remember he missed his entire rookie season with a knee injury. Sam Darnold came in and was a star, but he, of course, took his talents to Seattle, meaning it's J.J.'s team now.
I feel different just because, it's a different situation being year 2, knowing the offense a lot better than I did when I first came in here, and knowing the guys and how they move and, how they react to certain, coaching points and just little, things that go along with day-to-day, practice and meetings. And, yeah, it's definitely a different feeling and a really good one.
Overall, the Vikings have the 3rd best odds to win the NFC North. You've got the Lions favored to win it for the 3rd straight season, something they have not done since the 50s. Packers are next, and then the Bears pull up the rear. Let's keep it right here with our NFL analyst, Mina Kimes. Mina, you probably agree that the NFC North, one of, if not the toughest division in football this year. With that in mind, what are you looking out for this season from the division as a whole?
I am so fascinated by year 2 Caleb Williams with Ben Johnson, who is, I think correctly, one of the favorites to win Coach of the Year, because there is an expectation that, based on what we've seen him do in Detroit, Caleb should take a big leap under him as a play caller. Will he, though? I mean, that remains to be seen. They've obviously invested heavily in improving the interior of the offensive line. They've given him more playmakers in the draft, Colson Loveland, the tight end, as well as Luther Burden. But Caleb himself needs to show an ability, willingness to play within structure in the context of Ben Johnson's offense. I'm also interested in just seeing scheme-wise whether or not Ben Johnson himself continues evolving. Caleb's a very different quarterback from Jared Goff, who's really a machine under center, executing so much play action over the middle of the field. So I think that's one of the more fascinating stories in all of football, and certainly one of the more interesting stories in the NFC North.
Yeah, we heard Ben Johnson set a very specific goal for Caleb, that he wanted him to complete 70% of his passes. Not only did only 5 quarterbacks hit that mark last year, Jared Goff being one of them, but it would also be a jump of 7 percentage points for Caleb after completing just 63% of his passes last year. Feels lofty, but we'll certainly see. Let's go out to San Francisco, where the Niners are real excited to get back out on the field. Listen.
This is all fun. We're competing. It's not like fully competing yet because we're not hitting each other, but it's just great to be back in the building. Just excited that football is on the schedule again, because I miss it all the time, and so I get hit somebody again.
When you look out on the field, you see NFL bodies out there that look impressive, which is a good thing. Obviously, we're young, but I mean, just because nobody knows them now, they play a good couple games, then the whole world knows them, so it'll be exciting.
So we mentioned the NFC North being competitive, same with the NFC West. But for a Niners team, Mina, that only won 6 games last season, big expectations. They have the 6th shortest odds to win the Super Bowl. Give me realistic expectations for this team.
10.5 feels a little bit lofty in terms of wins. That's pretty high, but I do think there will be, pretty significant improvement, starting on the basis of purely, health.
Yeah.
This Niners team was the most injured in all of football last year, according to FTF Fantasy's adjusted games lost metric. So just being a little bit healthier than that would go a long ways. I think there's players returning who could potentially make a big impact. Brandon Ayuk, of course, coming back off of the injury is massive. Defensively, they took a very, I would say, focused approach towards addressing their biggest weakness last year, which was run defense, both in the draft and free agency, but especially the draft with Robert Saleh back in the fold. So, I'm high on this team. I'm always high on a Kyle Shanahan coached offense, but I think just being more healthy will help them a lot.
Preach. I also think that what helps them as well is that they've got the easiest strength of schedule in the NFL this season. They'll only face 4 2024 playoff teams, which is tied for the fewest, along with the Saints. Mina Kimes, thanks for the insight as always. Is in Cowboys camp, but he's not fully participating because he's looking for a new contract, and he's not the first. Dak Prescott went through it. CeeDee Lamb. It's kind of a regular thing with Jerry Jones and the boys. But Dak just weighed in on his teammates' issues.
I mean, it's an every year conversation. Whether it's myself, Zach Martin,